everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and joining me today, as always, is my amazing co-host, Julia. Hey, Julia!
Hey, Jason. Hey, everyone. I'm so excited for today's topic because I know a lot of English learners struggle with speaking fast and want to sound more natural in conversations.
Exactly! So, today's episode is all about how to talk fast in English. But not just fast, also clearly and naturally. A lot of learners feel frustrated when they can't keep up in conversations, right?
Yes, many people think that speaking fast means just rushing through words, but that's not true. There's actually a technique to it. And today, we're going to share some top tips to help you improve your speaking speed without losing clarity.
That's right. So, if you've ever felt like you're too slow when speaking, or that you hesitate too much, this episode is for you. Stick around because by the end, you'll have practical exercises to help you talk faster and sound more fluent.
Sounds great, Jason. And hey, if you're listening right now, grab a notebook or just practice along with us, because this episode is going to be super interactive.
Let's get started. First, let's talk about why speaking fast in English is important and how it can help you in real-life conversations. All right, before we jump into the actual tips, let's talk about why speaking fast in English is important. Julia, do you think every English learner should try to speak faster?
Well, Jason, I think it depends on the situation. Some people believe that speaking fast automatically means you're fluent, but that's not always true. However, being able to speak at a natural speed does help in real-life conversations. What do you think?
I completely agree. When you can speak English at a faster pace, it helps you sound more natural and keeps conversations flowing smoothly. Think about it. Native speakers don't talk super slow, right?
Exactly. And if you speak too slowly, it might feel unnatural or even make the conversation awkward. Plus, if you're talking to a native speaker, you might struggle to keep up because they're used to a certain rhythm.
That's true. Also, speaking faster can boost your confidence. When you don't hesitate too much, you start feeling more comfortable, and that helps you speak without overthinking every word.
Yes. And let's not forget one big advantage. When you practice speaking faster, you also train your brain to think in English instead of translating from your native language. That's a game changer.
Good point, Julia. But here's the thing. Speaking fast doesn't mean speaking unclearly. Some learners think they just need to rush through their words, but if no one understands you, then what's the point, right?
Absolutely. That's why today we're not just going to help you talk faster, but also speak clearly and naturally. Because if people can't understand you, speed won't help at all.
Exactly. So now that we know why speaking fast is important, let's talk about some of the common problems English learners face when trying to speak faster. All right. Now that we understand why speaking fast is important, let's talk about some of the biggest problems that stop English learners from speaking quickly and naturally. Julia, what do you think is the most common issue?
Oh, there are quite a few, but I'd say one of the biggest problems is translating from your native language. Many learners try to think in their first language, translate it into English, and then speak. But that takes too much time.
That's so true. When you're constantly translating in your head, it slows you down and makes speaking feel stressful. English has its own structure, and sometimes direct translation just doesn't work.
Exactly. Another common issue is lack of vocabulary. If you don't know enough words, you'll struggle to express yourself quickly. You'll pause a lot trying to find the right word, and that slows everything down.
Good point. And even when people know words, they might not use them confidently. Some learners hesitate because they're afraid of making mistakes, so they speak too carefully, trying to be perfect.
Oh, yes, that's a big one. The fear of making mistakes can kill your fluency. I always tell learners, it's okay to make mistakes. The more you speak, the more natural you become.
Absolutely. Another thing that holds people back is overthinking. Some learners try to plan every sentence in their head before they say it. But in real conversations, you don't have time for that.
Right. You have to train yourself to think fast and just let the words flow. If you try to make every sentence perfect, you'll always be a step behind in the conversation.
And here's another problem: not practicing enough speaking. Many learners focus a lot on grammar and writing, but don't actually practice speaking out loud.
That's true. You can't expect to speak fast if you're not used to speaking at all. If you only listen and read but never practice speaking, your mouth muscles don't get trained for fast speech.
Yes, and the last problem I want to mention is lack of confidence. Some learners doubt themselves too much and get nervous, which slows them down even more.
Confidence is key. The good news is, all these problems can be fixed with the right techniques, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about next, our top tips to help you speak faster in English.
Yes, we're about to share powerful techniques that will help you talk faster, sound natural, and feel more confident. So, let's get into it. All right, now it's time for the most exciting part of our episode: our top tips to help you speak English faster. We've got some really effective strategies that will speed up your speech while keeping it clear and natural. Julia, what's the first tip?
Let's start with one of my favorites: think in English. We just talked about how translating in your head slows you down, right? So if you want to speak faster, you need to train your brain to think in English directly.
That's a great one. And a simple way to do this is by describing what you see around you in English. For example, if you're walking outside, try saying in your mind, "The sky is blue. The weather is nice. I see a red car." This helps your brain get used to forming sentences quickly.
Exactly. And you can also talk to yourself in English. It may feel weird at first, but even saying simple things like, "What should I eat today?" or "I need to finish my work," can really help you get used to thinking in English.
I love that. Okay, next tip: practice with tongue twisters. This is a fun way to train your mouth to move faster. Julia, do you have a favorite tongue twister?
Oh, definitely. Try saying this fast. She sells seashells by the seashore. It's tricky, but it helps improve pronunciation and speed.
That's a good one. Another classic is Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If you practice tongue twisters every day, your mouth muscles will get stronger, and you'll be able to speak faster with better clarity.
Great tip, Jason. Now, here's another one. Use contractions and connected speech. Native speakers don't say every word separately. Instead of, "I am going to the store," they say, "I'm gonna the store."
Yes, and instead of saying, "What are you doing?" very slowly, they say, "What you doing?" Learning how words naturally connect will make your speech smoother and faster.
Right, and that brings us to our next tip, shadowing. Jason, do you want to explain this one?
Sure. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and repeat exactly what they say in real time. You copy their speed, rhythm, and pronunciation. It's like mimicking a native speaker.
That's a powerful method. You can do this with podcasts, YouTube videos, or even movie dialogues. Just listen and repeat immediately. Don't pause. This helps train your brain to keep up with natural speed.
Great. Now, here's another practical tip. Don't stop when you make a mistake. Many learners hesitate because they want to say everything perfectly. But in real conversations, it's better to keep going rather than stopping to fix every mistake.
That's so important. Native speakers make mistakes too, but they keep talking. Instead of stopping, just rephrase your sentence or continue speaking. The more you practice, the fewer mistakes you'll make over time.
Exactly. And here's a bonus tip. Record yourself speaking. Many learners don't realize that their speed is slow until they listen to themselves. Recording helps you hear your weak points and improve.
Yes, you can try reading out loud from a book, recording yourself, and then listening back to check your speed and pronunciation. It's a great self-learning technique.
Absolutely. And here's our final tip. Practice with a timer. Set a timer for 1 minute and see how much you can say in that time. Then, try to say it a little faster each time while keeping it clear.
Oh, I love this one. It's like a fun challenge. You can also read short texts and time yourself. The more you practice, the faster and smoother you'll get.
Exactly. So, those were our top tips to speak faster in English. And remember, speed is important, but clarity is key. So practice these techniques every day.
Yes, speaking fast is a skill that takes time, but if you stay consistent and keep practicing, you'll improve faster than you think.
Now, let's wrap things up with some final thoughts and a challenge for our listeners. All right, now that we've shared some powerful tips to help you speak English faster, let's move on to something even more exciting: practical exercises. These exercises will train your brain and mouth to speak quickly and smoothly. Julia, what's the first exercise?
Let's start with a super effective one: 1-minute speaking challenge. Set a timer for 1 minute, pick a simple topic, and talk as fast as you can without stopping. The goal is to keep speaking even if you make mistakes.
That's a great exercise. And to make it more fun, you can record yourself and then listen back to check your speed and clarity. You'll notice that with practice, you'll be able to speak faster and more naturally.
Exactly. Now, here's another one: shadowing. We mentioned this earlier, but let's break it down. Find an English podcast, movie clip, or YouTube video with clear speech. Play it and repeat everything immediately after the speaker without pausing.
Right. And the key here is to match the speaker's speed and intonation. Start with a slower speaker if you need to, then challenge yourself with faster speakers over time. It's a powerful way to train your mouth and brain.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about tongue twisters. These are perfect for improving speed and pronunciation at the same time. Jason, let's try one together.
All right, here's a fun one. Betty bought some butter, but the butter was bitter. So Betty bought better butter to make the bitter butter better. Try saying that fast.
Wow, that's tricky, but super useful. Tongue twisters train your mouth muscles so you can pronounce words faster without stumbling.
Exactly. Now, here's another simple exercise. Rapid reading. Pick a short paragraph and read it out loud as fast as you can while staying clear. Then, read it again, trying to go even faster.
Oh, that's great. And for an extra challenge, try recording yourself, listening back, and comparing your speed each time. You'll see how much you improve.
Yes! And here's our final exercise: speaking with a metronome. A metronome is a tool that musicians use to keep rhythm, but you can also use it to train your speaking speed.
Oh, that's interesting. How does it work?
Set a metronome to a slow beat and try to say a sentence in rhythm with the beat. Then increase the speed gradually. This helps train your fluency and pacing.
Wow, that sounds fun and useful. So, to summarize, we have 1. 1-minute speaking challenge. 2. Shadowing with native speakers. 3. Tongue twisters. 4. Rapid reading. 5. Speaking with a metronome.
Now that we've covered the best exercises to improve speaking speed, let's talk about something really important: common mistakes learners make when trying to speak fast. Julia, what's the first mistake?
The first mistake is sacrificing clarity for speed. Some learners think that speaking fast means rushing through words, but if your pronunciation isn't clear, people won't understand you.
That's so true. Speaking fast shouldn't mean mumbling or skipping words. Instead, focus on smoothness first, then gradually increase your speed.
Exactly. Now, another common mistake is not pausing at the right moments. When native speakers talk fast, they still use natural pauses. If you just speak nonstop without any breaks, your speech will sound unnatural and confusing.
Right. A simple tip is to pause after key ideas. For example, instead of saying, "I went to the store and bought some fruits and vegetables," try, "I went to the store and bought some fruits and vegetables." The small pause makes it easier to follow.
Good point. Another mistake is focusing too much on speed instead of fluency. Fluency means speaking smoothly and naturally, not just quickly.
Yes, it's better to speak at a natural pace with confidence than to rush and make too many mistakes. Speed will come naturally with practice.
Exactly. And here's a final mistake, not listening enough to native speakers. If you don't listen to how fast English is spoken naturally, you won't know what to aim for.
Great point. Listening to podcasts, movies, and real conversations helps you understand the rhythm and flow of natural English speech.
So, to summarize, the 4 biggest mistakes are 1. Speaking too fast and losing clarity. 2. Not pausing naturally. 3. Focusing on speed instead of fluency. 4. Not listening enough to native speakers. If you avoid these, your speaking speed will improve much faster.
Absolutely. Now, let's move on to the conclusion and final challenge for our listeners. Wow! We've covered so many great tips and exercises today. But before we wrap up, we want to leave you with some encouragement and motivation to keep going on your English-speaking journey.
That's right. Learning to speak English fast takes time and practice, but the most important thing is to stay patient and keep going. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately.
Exactly. Remember, every fluent speaker was once a beginner. Even native speakers practice their speech to sound clearer and more confident. So, if you make mistakes, don't be hard on yourself. Mistakes are part of learning.
Yes, instead of focusing on being perfect, focus on progress. If today you can say a sentence faster than yesterday, that's a win. Celebrate small improvements. They add up over time.
Absolutely. And here's a little secret. Confidence is more important than speed. If you believe in yourself and speak with confidence, even if you're not the fastest speaker, people will still listen and understand you.
That's so true. And another thing, enjoy the process. Learning English shouldn't feel like pressure. Have fun with it. Practice with friends, watch movies, sing songs, and just immerse yourself in the language.
Yes. So, to all our listeners, keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and most importantly, never give up. With time and effort, you will become a faster and more fluent English speaker.
We believe in you. Now, let's move to our final challenge to help you apply everything we discussed today.
All right, everyone. We've covered a lot in today's episode. Why speaking fast is important, common mistakes, top tips, practical exercises, and motivation to keep going. Now, it's time for you to take action.
Yes, don't just listen. Practice. Try 1 or 2 of the exercises we shared today, like shadowing, tongue twisters, or the 1-minute speaking challenge. The more you practice, the faster and smoother your English will become.
And remember, progress takes time, but every step counts. If you keep going, You'll be amazed at how much faster and more confidently you can speak in just a few weeks.
If you found this episode helpful, subscribe to our podcast and share it with your friends who are learning English. Also, let us know in the comments, which tip are you going to try first?
Yes! And don't forget to check out our other episodes for more English learning tips. Keep practicing, stay confident, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Keep speaking, keep improving.